you guys need to do this because it's going to change your life. You can't sleep, it'll help you sleep. You're feeling sick, it's going to help you not be sick. You can't focus, it's going to help you focus. It felt like the answer to everything because it's all about your internal system and rewiring your internal system. Welcome to the Human OS, the show where we upgrade the software running your life. The bugs, the loops, and the survival strategies you mistook for your personality, we're rewriting them. I'm STORRY with 2 R's, a multidisciplinary artist, singer, survivor, and anthropologist at heart, obsessed with how humans actually work. Please be sure to subscribe. Each episode delivers one tiny upgrade that makes your whole life run just a little bit smoother. And today I'm going to dive into how Vipassana meditation changed my life on a personal level. I think for a lot of people, healing means feeling better. And for me, I learned that healing meant feeling more and not running. All of these identities we've layered upon ourselves, stripping them down into who the essence of I is. Vipassana meditation is an insight meditation where you are observing your bodily sensations without reacting to them. It is training your awareness versus trying to control. If you want the full breakdown of what it is and why I have now done 4 of these 10-day silent meditation retreats, make sure to listen to the episode I did previously on what Vipassana meditation is and how it differs from other types of meditation. Today, we're going to be focusing on what happened after for me personally. The deepest changes didn't happen immediately. They happened when my body knew that it was safe. And trauma doesn't show itself when you are just demanding healing. It shows itself when your nervous system believes that it can handle the truth. I think it was important for me at the beginning of my healing to know that I was a victim, to forgive myself for having been trafficked by my quote-unquote boyfriend in order to find forgiveness and understand how coercion and manipulation can happen to younger and more vulnerable people in our communities. And that gave me a lot of compassion. That gave me a lot of compassion to other people as well afterwards. And it gave me a starting point to be able to understand what types of control and what types of power and what types of things I could do for myself in this healing process if I didn't want to repeat the past over and over and over again, which often happens a lot to trafficking victims and abuse victims. I could have easily been passed from pimp to pimp, and I didn't. I broke the cycle, and that is a huge thing. But at the time, it didn't feel like a huge thing. I felt like a complete idiot. I felt like a loser. I felt disgusting, and I felt like nobody was going to love me. First, feeling like I could be vulnerable and that what happened to me wasn't my fault was really important to my initial stages of healing. And later on, once I started to peel back the layers of my trauma, that's when I learned to reclaim my life and to reclaim autonomy and to reclaim my power and to rewrite my story. And that's where agency came in. And so this is what I'm going to speak on now, is kind of where I'm at now, which is many years of healing and self-work that I have done to heal my nervous system, to rewrite the narratives, to unbrainwash the brainwash my trafficker had put in my head, and to rebuild my confidence and my love for life. The numbness that I had felt for a lot of my life was really important because it was safety for me. I wouldn't have been able to feel all of the things I had felt and to have experienced the darkness that I had experienced and still be alive today had my body not numbed itself. It was an important mechanism, but it was no longer necessary in a life that was safe. And this is what often happens to us. Like, so we go through these really hard times as children, or we go through these really difficult times in our lives, and our bodies keep responding even after that threat is over in a fight or flight response, in a victim mode response. And so we're always operating in survival mode. And so we need to thank our bodies for doing the things that it does. We need to thank our body for numbing itself during a really difficult time in our lives. But then it's our responsibility to remove that anesthetic, to thaw ourselves, and to be back in reality and not replaying those traumas over and over and over again. That's where I believe our responsibility lies as survivors, in order for us to not just survive, but also thrive. So first thing I noticed after doing Vipassana courses and continuing with my meditations daily was the physical pain that I was no longer feeling. So for example, having worked at a strip club for many years and wearing heels for like 12, 14 hours a day, I had really bad knees. It was so excruciating. And especially when I was living in London, England, and there was all this dampness, there were some days where like I couldn't walk. Like my knees were so inflamed. And I didn't understand. I was like, oh my God, like, is this going to be my life? Like, I'm too young to already have knee pain like this. And that was one of the first things that went away. Not like 100% away, but like 92% away, which is huge. The next thing that I noticed, so all of 2023, so this was during just before I did my second Vipassana. My first Vipassana meditation retreat. So Vipassana is a 10-day silent meditation course that you take and you learn how to scan your body. I'm oversimplifying, so please definitely listen to the previous episode. So I went to this meditation course, and the first time was right after I had traveled back from India to do my yoga teacher training, after I had just left my trafficker and was just trying to heal my body. And so I did my first Vipassana then. And that's when I started to feel my body again and actually feel the sensations in my body after I had numbed it for so many years. The second retreat was when I really started to see the benefits, and it was years later. I hadn't kept up with my meditation practice, but the second time around, I decided that I was going to meditate 1 hour every morning and 20 to 30 minutes at night every single day, and I did it for the whole year. And I mean, I initially noticed that I was a lot more equanimous. I was a lot more level when I was dealing with housemates or people not cleaning or whatever. I was way less reactive and I was way happier. But the thing that I really started to notice was when I stopped getting sick. So all of 2023, I had been sick almost every single month. And like not just a little bit sick, like really sick. Like I'd be sick with a really terrible flu, coughing, phlegm, sneezing for like 3 weeks. And then I'd be better for like 2 weeks. And then I'd have another flu again for another 3 weeks. And it just continued for all of 2023. Every single month I was sick. And I say to myself, oh my God, I can't live like this. What is happening? And my allergies were so bad because in England, like I'm like allergic to everything in the country. So I was just unwell all the time. And as a singer, that's a really difficult thing because that meant that I couldn't perform. It meant that I would have like a lot of nervousness before a show. Like I would wear masks over my mouth so that pollen wouldn't come in, and I would sit in the car and just wait for me to perform on stage if it was like an outdoor festival. And all of my musicians would be going out and enjoying the festival, and I would just have to sit in the car and wait until it was my turn to go on stage because I didn't want to have a raspy voice before I went on stage because of the allergies. It was a nightmare. And you can't perform if you have a cough and stuff like that. So I had to cancel several shows because I got laryngitis, and it was just really bad. And I go to this Vipassana and I start meditating every day. And about 5 months in, I go, oh my God, I haven't been sick since. And I think it was like a year and a half before I became ill. And when I did become ill, it was like only for a few days, and it got better quickly and I was fine. It wasn't like lasting for 3 weeks. It was insane. And I said to myself, what is happening? And I noticed there was a correlation between my stress levels and me getting sick. So for example, there was a time when I thought one of my grants was going to be taken from me, and I had already spent the money, and I was freaking out about this grant. I was so stressed, and my body just didn't want to deal with that situation. So I started to feel like I was getting sick. And so what I did was I meditated, had some water, had a good night's rest, and I wasn't sick. And I would repeat this every time. Like I would feel like there was this kind of like sickness, this like heaviness coming into my body. I would just meditate it out. And I realized that a lot of my illnesses, not all of them, but most of them were psychosomatic. And in fact, this course teaches you that many psychosomatic illnesses will be removed if you practice this type of meditation. And I was experiencing it in my life. So the correlation between my physical health and my mental health were very clear. And I started to tell all of my friends and all of my family about this meditation because I said, you guys need to do this because it's going to change your life. You can't sleep, it'll help you sleep. You're feeling sick, it's going to help you not be sick. You can't focus, it's going to help you focus. It felt like the answer to everything because it's all about your internal system and rewiring your internal system, and you being the person who knows the best about what you need, and all you need to do is listen to you, and it helps you listen to you. Right? Like it's not about somebody teaching you how to do something or be a certain way. It really is about you being with you and learning what you need in that moment. So then there was another day that I really noticed a huge shift. And this was about maybe 5 months after that Vipassana retreat in early 2024. I'd had a really, really busy year. I was recording for The Voice UK. I think I was doing rehearsals for the next batch of recording. At the time, me and my partner were separate, so we were living in different countries. And so I didn't have any help, and we were house sitting at the time. So I was like literally moving from house to house, watching different people's pets while they were on vacation. And that's how I was living in London so that I could sustain myself as a full-time artist. So I was living at someone's house, watching their cats. And I remember having to get up at 4 a.m, do my hour meditation, do my makeup and hair, and get my outfit ready because you have to do that for most of the show. Like you have to prepare yourself to be on camera. I did all my makeup and my hair and got camera ready for the rehearsal that was going to be recorded in London. And then I had to feed the cats, clean their litter, make myself some food, and then take a 70-minute journey or 80-minute journey on the tube with luggage because I had shows later and I had to bring my merchandise and stuff. So I took this luggage on the tube and went to the rehearsal. So I was there, rehearsal from I think 9 a.m. until about noon, 1 o'clock. And then from 1 o'clock, I had to take public transit to my next event that started at 2. And I had to do sound check because I was performing and speaking on a panel at a charity event for a charity called Ella's. And they work with survivors of trafficking and give them safe houses and long-term support to help rehabilitate them after being trafficked. And so I did that event. I spoke to several of the survivors. I performed. I was on the panel. And then after that, I had to find some food and take public transit again with my luggage to a So Far Sound show. I did sound check and then did the show and then sold merch after the show. And by the time I was wrapped up and on my way home, I got home at maybe midnight, a little past midnight. And I still had to feed the cats, pet them. You know, I'd been away from them for a long time, so I wanted to make sure I gave them some extra attention. And I remember calling my partner on the way home, walking home, because it was like a 15-minute walk from the station. And I was like, you know what? I had this crazy long day, and I wasn't as nervous as I normally am. The effort that it would have taken me to do a day like this would have probably knocked me out and made me sick the next day. I might have lost my voice or been afraid that I was going to lose my voice after a full day of traveling on the tube and being outside with my allergies. But honestly, even though I am physically tired right now at midnight, I think I could do another show right now. And that's when I realized how seriously this meditation stuff was working for me. I was able to do so much more with so much less effort, with so much less stress and inflammation and energy. And I was able to absorb more positive energy from around me. You know, we go into nature and nature is like the source of energy. And so you jump into an ocean or you're in a forest and immediately you feel amazing. It's like plugging yourself into the socket. It's the source. But the truth is, even in a city, there's still energy. There's just a lot of interference coming from everywhere else. And meditation helps you to siphon out those interferences and be able to tap into the energy that is around you and replenish yourself. I know it sounds woo-woo, but I am certain it is scientific. We have not probably done enough research on this to really understand the mechanics of how and why this works so well. I wasn't working less. I wasn't putting out less. I was actually doing more. I was doing 10 times more than I normally would with 10 times less the effort. It's just that I wasn't pushing. I wasn't forcing anymore. I was just doing and being and trying to be equanimous about whatever result was expressing itself at the moment. I tried to detach myself from those results and just allow myself to enjoy the moment for whatever it was, bleak or joyful or otherwise. Stress still exists. It doesn't just disappear, but it does leave your body faster. And it doesn't debilitate you in the same ways. Your brain is able to stay online and problems don't feel like they're the end of the world anymore because you know they're going to pass. You know that, yeah, I'm having a good time now and that's going to change. I'm having a bad time now and I know that's going to change and that's okay. This is the beautiful fabric of life. This is the dark and the light and the sunset and the dawn and everything in between. And that's what makes life so beautiful. So another big thing for me was that previously I had decided to be celibate for several years because I was really afraid of my sexuality. I had been trafficked, so you can only imagine the kind of aversion and disgust I had with the ideas of sex, but also still having desire and craving as a human being, and how these things were butting heads. The feeling returning into my body was both exhilarating and really scary at the same time. The numbness had protected me, and now I had to face my feelings. And you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to heal my sexuality, maybe not in this lifetime, like completely. I think it's a journey, but little by little, it's something that I'm learning to face and learning to understand the nuance of and learning to balance these seemingly opposing feelings. I realized that avoiding desire because it's messy was just a form of fear and aversion, but it was dressed up as discipline and something that people championed even in many ways. Another huge insight that I received from one of my Vipassana meditations, I think it might have been my second or third 10-day retreat, but it was this moment when I was sitting and meditating and I started to feel this weight on my body. I was starting to feel like it was crushing my lungs, like I couldn't breathe properly. It was starting to make me feel like it was weighing on my back, so it was like so hard to sit up straight. It was compressing my head and I was having this huge pain. And all of a sudden I realized that I was carrying this weight of the world, like it was my responsibility to somehow fix all of the world's problems, and I was carrying them on me. And there was a moment of realization of what it would feel like to accept what is. And you know, the thing with meditation and experiencing wisdom is that it's very different from intellectual understanding. We are a very cerebral culture. We think we can read things, we think we can watch things, we think we can listen to things and understand that wisdom and be able to apply it to our lives. But the truth is that lasting change really only happens through experience. And meditation can allow you to find those experiences within yourself. You don't have to go and experience every experience in the world. You just need to experience the sensations in your body and the understanding of that universe in order to understand this wisdom. You read on these cups and t-shirts, accept what is, this too shall pass. And you're like, yeah, that all sounds great. But really viscerally understanding and feeling what it would be like to accept what is was explosive. The weight literally lifted off of me, it exploded into this energy all around my body. And I started crying and laughing and just like a little kid discovering, I don't know, the sun or the moon or something delicious. I was just I was just devouring this incredible feeling that I could just accept the world as it is. And that didn't mean that people shouldn't be held responsible or that we can't do anything or shouldn't do anything to change the world and better the world, but that my suffering and me holding all the weight of that didn't actually help those who are suffering. That the only way to help suffering was to not be suffering, was to actually be this light and this beautiful energy that could then transform the world, that could then shed light on to the darkness. And that was so liberating. To be clear, acceptance isn't approval. Acceptance isn't passivity. Acceptance just ends additional suffering. You suffering alongside the world only adds to suffering. And just like a song, life needs high and low frequencies and everything in between. You can't remove the bass. That is what gives the weight to the song. So all of it is necessary. And in accepting that, we can accept that the only way we can perceive light is by having the contrast of darkness. I think darkness gives those with privilege and awareness responsibility, not guilt. We want to stay open and stay joyful and act from clarity, not despair. When I was a teen, one of my friends asked me, "What is my biggest fear?" And I said to her, my biggest fear is that in all of my life, I'm not going to get to meet all of the incredible people in the world. I was such a curious kid. I was so loving. I just wanted to meet everyone. And I knew that was impossible, and that made me sad. And then I got into this relationship that ended up being exploitative, and I fell in love with my trafficker. And then I started to lose hope. I started to lose that spark. I started to lose that curiosity in me and that love for people. And I hated people for a while. I was so sad, and I only could see the suffering in the world. And for a time, I had no value for my life. I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care if someone raped me. It didn't matter. And I thought that my life was going to be like that forever. And I'm so happy to say I have found a lot of forgiveness for myself. I still think I have a lot of room to go to forgive myself. But I've also actually forgiven my trafficker, and I have compassion for him, which is I never thought would have been possible. I didn't even understand what forgiveness really was for many years. And I have this curious, childlike self back where I am literally in awe of the world, and I am so excited to meet all the beautiful people that exist on this planet and all of the amazing wildlife and all of the incredible things that are at our disposal. Life is magic, and I have found that magic in my heart again. Healing didn't make me this numb Zen person. It gave me my appetite for life back. So at the end of every episode, I like to leave y'all with one tiny shift that you can make today to upgrade your internal human operating system. My tip would be to sign up for this meditation retreat. It is not for everyone, but I would definitely say that you should check it out because it is a free resource and you have really nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. The site is dhamma.org, so DHAMMA.org. Check it out. You usually have to sign up several months before the course starts, and they fill up very quickly, about 15 minutes of them opening the portal. So definitely make sure that you sign up quickly. If you need to cancel for whatever reason, you let them know. They have a waiting list. As long as you give them a few weeks notice, they can replace you with somebody else. So don't be scared to try to take a space. And then if a few months down the line, it doesn't align with your schedule, you can always do another one. But I definitely would apply for a course like this. They have them all over the world. And if you can't do a 10-day course right now, then definitely keep it on your radar for a time when you can, and make sure to practice some type of meditation, even for 5 to 10 minutes every morning. I promise you will see the benefits. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Human OS. I'm Story, and I will be replying to all of the comments, so please be sure to leave one. And make sure to like and subscribe and share with a friend who you think might need a Vipassana meditation. Take care, and I'll see you at the next one.